and welcome back to the Unleashed podcast. Today I'm here with Chloe Millet. We met when we did a WBFF posing class, and I just felt like she would have really good energy to come on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I thought it would be awesome to have her on the podcast to talk about balancing working full-time with bodybuilding prep, because she would always post on her stories. So do you work as a nurse?
Yeah, so I work as a theatre nurse in a private hospital on the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
So I do about like 38 hours a week, which makes up like full-time hours.
Yeah.
And essentially we do shift work. So my shifts change every week. So that was also a bit of a, juggling prep and all that was a bit of a struggle initially. But I got the hang of it eventually. Yeah,
because I'd always see you post on your stories about like getting your steps in late at night, and you always have to be on point with meal prep. Like meals have to be ready to go the day of work and everything like that. And I had more luxury, I guess, because I work for myself from home, but I just do casual things on the side. Like we'll go do promo jobs here and there kind of thing. But to be fully on point all the time. And how many shows did you do back to back?
I did. So I did 4 shows.
Yeah.
They weren't, it was kind of spread out. So I actually added on 2 shows unexpectedly as well. So originally when I started my prep, I was only doing ICN Queensland, which was like the big state show for ICN, and I was always going to do the end of the year WBFF show on the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
But then it came up an opportunity for me to also do ICN Townsville.
Yeah.
So that one was, I believe it was 2 weeks. Yes, it was 2 weeks before the Queensland state show. And then my coach was like, yep, let's do it. We can get you ready for that. So that's when I kind of dived in on that. And then after Townsville, I actually qualified because I placed within the top 5 and did podium finishes. So then I placed for nationals, and then it came the opportunity for me to do nationals. So I was like, you know what, it's my first season. I kind of want to test the waters and see how I do. And that's when the 4th show got brought into the mix of shows. So yeah, it did get quite hectic at the end of my season, going from 2 shows to 4 shows, but I wouldn't take back. It was awesome. Yeah, it was such a good experience. Yeah.
How long was your build phase for before you decided like that it was time to do the cut and then do the prep? And then how long was your cut and extreme dieting phase for?
Yeah, so I decided I wanted to compete back in March 2022.
Yeah.
And then my coach was like, right, let's just program and make sure that we're, doing the right programming to essentially build enough muscle. We focused more, it was very mixed. So it was like 3 days upper, 2 days lower, but I'd already built my upper body from pole dancing originally. So where we really needed to work on was my lower body, because obviously in pole fitness, you don't really use any leg power or leg muscles or anything like that. It's all like upper body dominant. So we were really focusing on getting my legs built up so then they could obviously be in balance with my upper body. We didn't really know where I'd sit category wise, but we just, I trained 5 days a week, just nailed my nutrition for about 1.5 years of just consistency of that. And then we planned to always do season B of this year. So that's what we did. So essentially it was about 1.5 years of consistent nutrition and training. And then I started my cut 30 weeks out from WBFF. So what was that? I think it was about 22 weeks out from Townsville, and I didn't even know I was going to do Townsville. So it was about 22 weeks out from my first show, but altogether it was 30 weeks of the prep. So, but we didn't start cutting until about, I think it was like 2 weeks into my prep. The first 2 weeks was kind of just easing into like, okay, you're in prep now. There's no off-track meals anymore. You're dialed. Like it's go time. Yeah.
Yeah. And what do you, based on your reflection after competing in ICN and WBFF, so for people who don't know the difference, so ICN stands for I Compete Natural, so it's like no enhancements allowed kind of thing. And then WBFF, which is just rebranded to FMG, is all about it. What did stand for World Beauty, Fitness and Fashion, and now it's Fitness, Muscle, Glamour, and that's all about like bring in the model side, bring in your individual flair. Everyone can have their own posing routines and extravagant bikinis and things like that. So
Yeah.
what's your reflection on how, like, which one did you enjoy more, or how did you feel?
Well, my heart and soul is definitely after doing now FMG.
Mm,
After doing that show, I definitely know that's where I align,
yeah,
simply because I love how it's so, it's freestyle posing,
yeah,
whereas with ICN, it's kind of like a criteria.
yeah.
So, just to briefly touch on, so ICN has different categories. So they've got bikini, they've got sports model, and they've got fitness. This is just for the ladies, obviously. They've got wellness, and they've got figure.
Mm,
And with WBFF slash FMG, they have bikini, wellness, figure, and fitness. So with ICN, they had more categories in the female side, but it's very criteria. And sports model you didn't have to wear heels for it actually, which is really
mm,
really cool. So I did sports model and fitness in ICN, and with sports model you can be a little bit more softer, whereas fitness is like a little bit more like shreddy and kind of like more muscle definition, and then figures like you're more jacked, got more muscle. But I ended up doing sports model and fitness model, but interesting enough, started my prep, I thought I would be figure,
mm,
but when I leaned down, we figured out that I didn't have enough muscle density.
mm,
So about 6 weeks out from Townsville, I had to learn completely different new posing to suit sports model and fitness model, because it was completely different. Like figure was more like boxy, like with your posing, like you hit a pose and you move, you hit a pose, like quarter turn, which is the same for F&G, you quarter turn, but it's freestyle. You can do whatever.
mm,
Whereas with ICN, it's like you have to do a certain side pose, you have to do a certain front pose, and you're marked on that. And I did feel quite boxed in with ICN. Like I
mm,
did realize kind of afterwards that I wasn't really enjoying practicing the posing. It was fun when I got up on stage,
mm.
being in that like kind of environment, but practicing it, I wasn't motivated. Whereas when I went to go practice WBFF posing, I was like, this is me. I'm in my
Mm,
element. Like I was like so excited, and like I could really bring out my personality. And
mm,
I know that a lot of other girls that have competed in both federations, but also lean more to the WBFF side, feel the same way. They
mm,
felt like they could really express themselves more with WBFF, because there's no like kind of set criteria. So I did find that with ICN, it was very like rigid with what you could do on stage. Like you could add an extra flair, like maybe like a shoulder, and be like cheeky maybe with your like facial expressions, but that's as far as it would go. That was pretty much what I found. And with WBFF Australia, the lead up to the show, it's like you feel like a VIP. I actually felt
mm,
like a VIP, like leading up, especially the Rego night, just the whole Rego night experience, the red carpet, like, you get to meet all the pros and you feel like really included, like a family. Whereas ICN is kind of like the day before you just get your base tan, and then you get in, on show day, you get your top coat and your hair and makeup done, and then you're on stage. Like it's not
mm,
as like, I guess, like modelly, I suppose, which is like okay. Like some people love that, and there's nothing wrong with it. But I
mm,
definitely preferred the whole, the fun in the lead up to the WBFF, and like I felt just really special,
mm.
like a VIP.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
really, really enjoyed that part of WBFF. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the glam side of it because I feel like on show
Mm,
day, it's the best you'll ever look in your life until you compete again, kind of thing. But you don't really get that opportunity unless it's like your wedding or something like that. You're like, this is the best I'm ever going to be, kind of thing. So it's cool to capture those moments. But I kind of feel the same with the judging and stuff as well. Because same as with IFBB, because it is more like both of them are more bodybuilding focused. It's very
yes.
specific on certain parts of your body. Like with WBFF or FMG, they'll say like, oh, you need to bring up your glutes more, or more generalized things. But I feel like the others, it's more specific on actual muscles. And I don't know, I feel like that's more stressful because I just feel like everyone's got different genetics and we build muscle differently. So it's nice just to be able to show off your assets and your best things about your physique kind of thing and have the freedom.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, and especially with like the bikinis too, like the whole you can do whatever. You can add
Yeah.
flowers or whatever to your bikini, and
Yeah.
that's the cool thing about it. Like you get to kind of get excited even more to lead up to show because you get to like think about designs. Like I'm even thinking about my
Yeah.
design for when I compete next. Like I've got
Mm.
like
Yeah.
brainstorming ideas already happening, and it gets you like motivated and
Yeah.
like kind of like
Yeah.
excited for the next one. And especially for like if
Mm.
you're in prep and like you're thinking about your bikini, you get so excited.
Yeah.
And probably a lot of people can relate on that. And like I remember seeing my bikini, like Anne did my bikini all for me, and when
Yeah.
she sent me my bikini, like a video, I cried. Like I actually
Yeah.
have a
I
video
cry.
of me like bawling my eyes out because I was so happy. Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, like it was just amazing. And then like obviously my ICM bikini, it like I was happy with like how it looked and the colors, and it looked really good on stage, but I wasn't able to like add the flair that I was able to add
Mm.
for WBFF. So that's another
Yeah.
big difference too. Yeah, you kind of get to bring out your fashion.
Yeah. Mine didn't match my hair exactly. I had like purple and rose pink hair, but the bikini was like fire, like yellow and oranges and
I
stuff.
remember
But I
it
remember
looked
when I
sick.
yeah, when I opened it, I
Yeah,
literally cried as well. I was like, "Oh my god, I get to wear something so pretty!" And then when
yeah.
I got sent to like the sketch of my theme wear, it wasn't even made; it was just the drawing of it, and I was crying for that as well. Like it's full
Mm.
Victoria's Secret moment.
Yeah, 100%. And it was cool too how you did like the theme wear as well, like because you did fitness and wellness. It was
Yeah.
really cool. Like your theme wear was like really like different, and it was like flowy and like the yellow. And I
Mm.
remember it. It was really really cool. So yeah, and that's another thing too. That's another big one. Like the theme wear side of WBFF and the morning and the night show. Like ICN is like you do your lineup. Like you've got all your set times. You do your lineup. You know straight away after your lineup what you've placed, or if you haven't placed,
Mm.
like straight away, like during the day, like, okay, I've placed this or I didn't place in that. Where can I improve? But then where with the WBFF, you don't have that opportunity. Like you kind of you get up on stage, it's like, oh, I hope I did well. Like, and it's like
Yeah.
kind of that lingering until the night show, like,
Yeah, true.
and then that's when you find out if you did well. But it's really cool to be able to come out in the night show, and if you do fitness and figure, you can do like the theme where you can bring out your personality even more. And then the ladies with like wellness and bikini, they get to wear like a pretty dress, and
Mm.
like I don't know, I love it. Like I do love the fashion side. Like it's cool, really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
So, what are your future goals for competing now? Because did you do both of them to see which kind of one you fit into next?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. Like I didn't want to put all my eggs in one basket. Like I
Yeah.
didn't want to do just WBFF and then have that in the back of my mind. What if? Like, what if
Yeah.
I did enjoy ICN more? And then I
Yeah.
probably would have been a little bit more confused and not as like tunnel vision on exactly what I want to do like I am now. So I just wanted to like get that like confusion out of the way and know exactly where I fit, and where my soul kind of feels aligned. And definitely it's with FMG. Like Pauline and Ari are just like amazing. Like they really set you up, look after you, like, and just the whole backstage experience was just awesome. And the whole show, like everything that it's about, it just aligns with me. So FMG season A is the goal now. So we're just going to build muscle. We're still reversing, obviously, because I'm only 4 weeks post show. So still reversing, and then start next year we'll start building muscle. I haven't got my feedback yet from WBFF, so we're still waiting for that. But I did get my feedback from the ICN shows, and majority of it was saying like to build my glutes and my quads, and possibly a little bit more upper body, kind of to obviously balance it out. But major goal is definitely to build the lower body a little bit more, just to get some muscle density. And then we're gonna gun for the pro card in 2025. But I'm okay with whatever kind of happens. I know, like, the cherry on top will land whenever it's meant to be, you know, like
Yeah.
I'm actually really glad. So I placed fourth in fitness for WBFF, and I'm really glad I didn't get my pro card in that show, because I feel like it's an experience for me to kind of take on my own and like express to others as well. Like I'm big on being like a positive role model for other people in the fitness industry and people that are potentially wanting to compete and first timers and stuff like that. And I feel like if I'd won my pro card, I would have lost that kind of respect for how hard it is to like how hard bodybuilding really is. Like, and I'm just like really glad that I had that opportunity to kind of like hold that disappointment for a second and be like, okay, I am disappointed, but after reflection, I'm actually really, really happy with how I did.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I feel the same as well. I got fourth in mine as well. The first ever show I did, I got third, and then that's why I put so much pressure on myself because I was like, I've got to get at least top three, so it's better than last time. And I did want to win it, but then I know when I showed up on the day and I was so stressed out. I was like day 3 of my period, didn't sleep the night before, didn't do the carb cycling properly on peak week, and just didn't feel amazing. And then I got fourth as well, and I went home and I was like, I am actually happy because when I saw the girls who did get top three, they were elite with like huge glutes, amazing physique. So I was like, it would be weird if they didn't get it. And another thing is I always think you've got to grow into the goal you want, if that makes sense. Like I don't know, I always think like I'm very socially anxious and things like that. So if people came to take photos of me at the Regio night, I'd be so anxious. So you've got to grow into being a pro and being the role model. So I'm like, I'm actually happy I
yeah,
didn't get it either because I'm not that
mm,
person. So then I've got to work on all
mm,
these things
mm,
internally to yeah, be able to be a match for that goal. So I think that's a really good mindset to have as well.
Yeah. It's
Mm.
like a really good like opportunity to like learn on like to reflect back and see, okay, where could I improve or where could I do better here?
Yeah.
And it's like a really cool like drive to do better for next time.
Mm.
And I feel like yeah, it's like a really I've got like a fire in my belly, like
Yeah.
you know, like just getting the taste of it and
Yeah.
seeing, yep, I really do love this, and getting that taste to just keep the ball rolling for the next show. Yeah.
Yeah. So was it 2025 season A? So was that April?
Well, that's a thing with FMG. They haven't like announced. They've only announced April for
For
next year
Sydney.
for Sydney.
Oh,
So I don't know where like what the dates are going to be for
yeah.
2025 and where it will be. So it really does depend on where like if it's overseas, it'll probably be
Oh,
unrealistic in terms of financial.
yeah.
So it all really depends. Like I could end up doing season B. Yeah, it's but that is the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think, you know, that will be enough time for me to build muscle, but I'm also open to the fact of, you know, even putting it off again. It just really
Yeah.
depends if I'm in a really good spot
Yeah.
to compete. Yeah,
Yeah.
and also another thing like finances. I was
Yeah.
not prepared for how much
Yeah.
like it was going to cost. Yeah, people. I don't think girls realize or guys, but more girls obviously because unfortunately we do pay more for the
Mm.
bikinis and makeup and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think people realize how expensive bodybuilding is, especially like WBFF is known as the more expensive federation. And I know that Ari and Pauline are looking at making it cheaper for competitors for FMG, which is really, really cool. Um, but obviously the bikinis are still going to be quite expensive and all that kind of stuff. So I spent way over my budget. You know, I did add 2 shows, but I do recommend to people if you are wanting, if it's your first season and you're doing multiple federations to see kind of what, like how I approached it, save for an extra show, at least one extra show just in case. Because, you know, if you qualify for nationals, if you do like an IFBB or ICN, they do like, you know, their national show, then you've got that flexibility to then go, okay, cool. I've got that money saved. I can definitely do this show. And then like you limit the risk of possibly missing out and being disappointed. It
Mm.
was just lucky enough that I was able to kind of do those 2 extra shows. But for people that are, you know, more tight on their budget and stuff like that, definitely save for one extra show.
Mm.
Um, and any extra hiccups here and there, because like, you know, my heels snapped. I had to actually buy
Mm.
my, like, not on show day, it was like weeks before, but I had to buy new, like, just little things like adjustable straps, which wasn't expensive, but just there always will be probably like little things here and there that you probably won't prepare for. So I just
Mm.
always say save extra than what you think you're going to spend,
Yeah.
because I didn't do
Yeah.
that.
Because the first show I did, I signed up with like 6 weeks to prep and get ready for it. And I just got
Mm,
a bikini off
you
Marketplace the
hadn't.
first time. Yeah, I just got a bikini off yeah, Marketplace the first time, but
Yeah, cool.
it's not designed for you. So the girl actually had like huge breast implants, and I had to stuff it with those chicken fillet things and a sock each side. But
Oh,
I still,
shit.
yeah, I still did
Yeah.
okay. And the first time I only did 2 virtual posing sessions, but compared to like the following year, I had my bikini custom designed. I had the theme wear custom designed. You feel like it's all for you, and still didn't do enough posing sessions. Like I wasn't confident enough on stage. So you can do it cheaper without going all out, like buying a gown off someone who had bought theirs brand new from the year before. So you get like hundreds of the price. But yeah, like it does add up for all the little things. And even actually, I remember on Instagram, I think it was Lauren Kelly that I followed back then. She posted always try on your bikini before show day. And I was like, oh yeah, like it makes sense. So I had to get mine adjusted. Oh, I think because it was the cups were separated with like a little thing separating them, so I got them to join the cups together so that they could fit
Yeah.
me better. And they'd actually sewed it upside down so that this like shoulder straps came down my waist. They'd done it
Oh,
like that. They'd
yeah.
sewed it like that. And I was like, if I didn't try that on, I actually lived in Rockhampton, and it's a 10.5 hour drive away. And if I didn't try it on and rocked up on show day ready to go, and my bikini was sewed wrong, after all that effort, like where to get another bikini from with like half an hour to spare kind of thing. So
Yeah, yeah, you would have like
little things
freaked
like
out,
that.
and then your cortisol levels would have been through the roof, and then you probably, you know, it
Yeah,
would have affected your physique, you know, all that kind of stuff
it
you got
was
to think about.
stressful. Yeah, so
Yeah,
just yeah, taking note of like yeah, little things that can add up for sure.
100%. Save for hiccups
Yeah,
and one extra show.
yeah. For you, what were the hardest parts of prep, and were there any times you wanted to throw in the towel?
I would say that leading up to the first show, I was pretty good because I had a solid why. Um,
Mm.
and my initially coming into prep, I kind of didn't realize that when I started my like kind of when I decided I wanted to compete, I didn't realize that I was coming from a place of wanting external validation to fill my cup. I was kind of just being one of the sheep that
Mm.
followed like the really cool girl that also did it. And there's so many girls that do that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I feel like when you come from that place of wanting to compete, then your why isn't really that solid. So then when you actually go into the prep, you have that risk of kind of swaying off the plan and, you know, having a cheat meal here and there, like because you don't have that solid like mindset. And I didn't cheat my diet, but um, I realized kind of halfway through my prep that I was coming from a place of wanting external validation. And then when I had that realization, I was like, wait, why do I want to compete then? And then I kind of queried that, and I realized that I value being a role model for others. And I kind of developed through the prep like self belief for myself, and that's something I never had. I was never a confident person before I started my fitness journey. I never had self belief. I always thought that I was just like your average person, you know, like I didn't think I could achieve what I have achieved now. And I know this has gone on a bit of a tangent, but
Mm.
I am getting to the question, I promise. The reason I say this is because the start of my prep, I was very unconscious, I would say. Like I kind of was so tunnel vision on ticking off the boxes. And I kind of forgot about everyone else around me. I kind of forgot that there's a life outside prep. There's other people that aren't in prep. So that really actually affected relationships around me and stuff like that as well, because I was just so focused on myself. And it is a selfish sport. You have to be like that to an extent. But I
Mm.
kind of just fell in this unconscious like mindset, I suppose. Like I wasn't very aware
Mm,
of what was going on around me. So when I had that realization, that was quite tough, and I felt quite shameful of myself,
mm,
and like I kind of lost my idea. I mean, concept of self, I would say. I kind of was very, yeah, shamed about, because that's not who I want to be. I didn't want to be a selfish person, right? So I kind of tried to make up for that through, like, I did mindset coaching through Tess, and I still am coached by Tess. She's amazing. For people that don't
mm,
know, Tess Trainer, she's also well, now FMG Pro. She competes in wellness, and she got her pro card in Sydney for WBFF in 2022, I think. Yeah, and she's amazing. And she helped me with my mindset and everything. And the hardest part was, that was definitely one of the hardest parts, when I realized I haven't been the person I thought I would be during prep, but it was super
mm,
empowering coming out of that, and then like stopped shaming myself for what I did and actually found my solid why. And that actually drove me a lot
mm,
more. I felt a lot more motivated when I came into that headspace. But after I competed for the first time, I also obviously had that fire, and it came back because I'd stepped on stage the first time. I'm like, oh my God, I love this, bodybuilding's sick. Like I had that, but like I knew it was for me. And then it was easy because I had a show 2 weeks after that, which was ICN Queensland State Show. So I had that motivation. Oh, I've got another show soon, cool. And I was really, really excited. And then there was about 3 to 4 weeks between Queensland State Show and Melbourne, which was the national
mm,
ICN show. I really, really found that I actually experienced like mini post comp blues, weirdly enough, even though I wasn't like finished my season. It
mm,
was because of this massive gap. I was, a lot of time between those shows, and I found myself being, I don't know, I was kind of just over it. And then on reflection, I realized that I was kind of mentally signed off with ICN. I just wanted to do WBFF at that point, but then I didn't want to not do nationals because I didn't want to lose that opportunity. So I kind of had that pressure of, no, we're going to do this show. We've booked the flights. We're gonna go and do it. So that was really tough
mm,
mentally, because I knew that subconsciously I'd mentally checked out on ICN. I had enough. I did 2 shows. I'm like, okay,
mm,
I've experienced it now. Where's WBFF? Like, you know what I mean?
mm,
So that was really hard, because I was on lower calories as well to come in competitive for
mm,
nationals, because we realized after Townsville I actually wasn't conditioned enough, and my calories got dropped quite
mm,
low before Queensland States, but obviously my body was really feeling it by the time I the sorry, by the time I got after Queensland States, I was like super depleted, and like
mm,
because I was more conscious in my everyday life, and I felt guilty with my partner because I wasn't like able to spend. I felt like I wasn't able to spend quality time with him because I was always working and training, and I was very busy. And then we connect a
mm,
lot over like making dinner together and going out on a date, and it was just so limited. Because he doesn't train at all. Like
mm.
we're polar opposites. He's into games, and like I used to love games as well. We connected on that originally when we started dating, but now that I'm fully into fitness, I kind of lost that love. So I don't really play games anymore. But it just was really, really hard on our relationship, because we weren't spending that quality time together. Well, we felt like we weren't. Yeah, so it
Yeah,
is hard. I feel like when you've got a partner that doesn't do bodybuilding as well, like it's they're in
yeah,
their own like kind of normal world, whereas you're like doing like this bodybuilding like strict diet. Like I can't go out for dinner and do like the normal things that couples would do normally.
mm,
So that was, one of the
mm,
hard things as well, because on the back of my mind, I always knew that it was also having a toll on my partner, like just being so busy all the time.
mm,
So they were definitely the big struggles, I would say, during prep. But I never once wanted to throw in the towel and say, "Nah, I'm not doing this anymore." Like I always knew that I wanted to do it because I had that solid why that I built. But yeah, I suppose like being like I'd never been so depleted obviously before, and like trying to like be still show up as a kind human being. It's important to know that just because you're starving and tired and feeling like shit, it doesn't give you an excuse to treat everyone else like shit. Like you've got to still show up, especially as a
mm,
nurse. Like I can't take my hunger and anger out on a patient, can I? Like, that wouldn't
Mm,
be right. And I can't do that to my work colleagues either.
mm,
So yeah, it was hard, like, coming to work and having to explain to people, look, I'm in a bodybuilding prep. Just ignore me. Like, I'm not as bubbly as I normally am. Like, I was never rude to anyone. Like, I was always,
yeah,
nice.
yeah.
But I'm like, if I look flat, that's why.
Yeah, I think it was interesting that you touched on the point of having your why of why you compete, because I think what a lot of people think is that someone asked me, like, is it how do I feel doing such a, I don't know what the word is, but when you're like so focused on an exterior thing. And I was like, oh, even though you are judged on your appearance, I don't actually view it as that. Like, one of my reasons, well, one of my driving forces, I guess, is to see just what I can achieve with my physique in my life. Like, that's a pretty cool thing, to get to your peak ever conditioning. Like, because most people, I guess, they don't try because it's like not a goal kind of thing, because it takes a lot of work. But another thing is the internal belief that you are like your highest version of you kind of thing, because I always look at all my role models who do the show and stuff and follow them online and look at them on stage like, oh my god, they're so amazing. So then for you to stand on stage, you have to believe that you're worthy kind of thing. So as you're going through the posing routine, it's like an internal thing. And when I did the last show, I was actually shaking the whole time. I lost balance in my heels. I was trying to tense my quads, and I was I feel like I posed very slow. I was very jittery from not sleeping the night before, but the nerves were so bad that I was shaking through the whole thing. So I didn't quite feel like in myself, if, like, yeah, didn't quite feel like I 100% believe in myself, if that makes sense. So even though it's an external sport that focuses on your looks, like, you have to feel yourself to actually be able to do the posing routine and be like, yes, I'm here, and like strut with the walk kind of thing. So I don't think people really realize that if they look at it from the outside.
Yeah, no, a lot of people will think that, and that it's all about your physique. But if you haven't built that mindset, if you haven't built that confidence in yourself, mindset is just as important as ticking the boxes off to be able to get your physique where it needs to be for stage. Like, people don't realize how important it is to, yeah, work on your mindset. Like,
Yeah.
if you don't feel confident in yourself, it's actually going to show subconsciously, unconsciously on stage without you even realizing it. Like, it's just like, even just like little things, like you're looking down or your chin isn't up enough, like just the slightest thing, it will show. So yeah, I really learnt that with doing all this mindset work and stuff like that too. Like, it's so important to work on your mindset going into a bodybuilding show as well, because
Mm,
it's super what's the word, dysregulating getting up there if you
mm,
haven't really prepared for it, especially for first timers. Like, you've got all these judges, all these people looking at you basically half naked, and you're paying all this money for people to look at you half naked and look at your physique. Like, it's very dysregulating if you haven't like prepared yourself mentally for it, and if you haven't done that
mm.
confidence building, because it's a lot, especially if you haven't
Yeah.
done it before. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
What would some of your best tips be around nailing your daily habits? So if you're trying to fit everything in with working full time, staying on top of meal prep, doing the cardio steps and weight training, how do you stay on top of it? And especially days when you feel like exhausted as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's honestly like, you have to have good time management and be
Yeah.
organized when you're in prep, especially if you work full time and stuff like that in the shift work. Like, I had to know exactly what I was doing, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Like, I had it all planned. Like, if I was doing a morning shift, or like most of the time I do 10-hour days, I'd be like, okay, I'm working 10 hours. I start at 6:30. I'm not going
Mm,
to want to go to the gym after work. So I need to get up at 3 a.m. And I did this quite a lot. I got up at 3 a.m. and the night before I had all my meals prepped. Even though I'd come home exhausted, I made sure that all my meals were in the fridge, ready to go. But a good key is just make simple meals. Like, you can still make tasty meals. You just add on, like, Kewpie mayo or some like a tasty sauce on top. Like, I at the back end of prep, I was literally doing, sounds boring, chicken, rice, and vegetables, but it was just super easy for me to bulk prep. So I'd make on a Sunday, I would bulk prep like the whole week's worth of meals.
Mm.
And then all I had to do was add sauce on top, and then it was all good to go. And then I would eat the same thing for like lunch and dinner, so then I didn't have to like make a different meal for dinner as well. Knowing how depleted I was, I would kind of thought about all these things in advance. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to want to cook mince as well as chicken, so let's just bulk prep the same thing. And you're hungry enough to kind of want to eat the same thing anyways. Like I was totally okay with eating the same thing every day. It makes it very hard if you're a fussy eater, and you don't want to eat the same thing every day as well. But I
Mm.
mean, it is doable, but it makes it more difficult if you want to change up the meals every day. So bulk prep all your meals is my tip. Make a day of it. Do like a meal prep, sorry, day, and then just be really organized. Like know where you are meant to be each day of the week. If you know, work full time Monday through to Friday, like I do, shift work, know what shifts you're doing. Allow yourself enough time before or after to get your daily non negotiables done. I would try and do my cardio. When I did end up doing cardio, I tried to do that after I trained in the morning. So then I'd wake up earlier to allow enough time to then get my cardio in. And in regards to steps, that's where I did struggle actually the most, because in theatre we're quite stagnant. So we don't,
Mm.
when you're scrubbed in, you don't actually move too much because you're
Mm.
just standing in one spot, you know, in theatre. So when I knew I was going to have like a stagnant day, I'd try to also get on the treadmill and do some steps. And luckily enough, I park a little bit away from work, so that allows me for more steps to walk to work. But yeah, like the main thing is just to be organized. I don't recommend meal prepping as you go. Like some people will cook their meals like the day before, and then they'll go to work and like, okay, I need to cook tomorrow's meals. Okay, I need to cook tomorrow. That takes up a lot of time and a lot of energy. So yeah, bulk prep if you can do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And what did your kind of exercise requirements look like? So was it weight training 5 times a week? And then did you have to do like an hour of cardio or half an hour of cardio a day plus 10,000 steps or 15,000, however much it gets up to?
Yeah, so I trained 5 days a week, and I did 3 upper body days and 2 leg days. And then at the back end I was doing three sessions, half an hour each. And then I was doing 10,000 steps per day. So at the start of prep, I didn't do any cardio. The cardio only kind of came in after Townsville just to get more conditioned. So yeah, I was only doing three sessions a week, and I tried to do that with my upper body days because I do 3 upper body days. So I'm like, okay, I'll do it on my upper body day, not after a leg day because my legs are been too
Jelly.
sore.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I just tried to tee it up with my upper
Mm.
body days. And what else did I do? I think, no, that was it in terms of
Mm.
training. Yeah.
How do you feel competing in FMG as a untested and as a natural competitor in an untested federation? Like, do you feel like it's a good challenge to show what you can achieve, or do you feel like it's still a bit intimidating?
I I honestly I don't feel intimidated. Like before I did my first show, I did get a bit in the comparison like danger zone, but then I got over that and realized that we're all on our own kind of journeys. It's so easy to get in a comparison mindset and look at the other athletes and go, "Oh, her glutes are bigger than mine, her biceps are bigger, blah blah blah," or whatever it is. It's just so important to remember that everyone's journey to stage is different, and it's so like it can get so toxic if you're just comparing yourself to others. It's you just really should focus on yourself. Like at the end of the day, like it's your journey, and you know some people enhance, some people aren't, and honestly, like no judgment. Who cares? Like it is, to me, it's also another drive to be able to be a natural competitor. And you know, if I don't care if I need extra time to get to stage, that's fine. I'm very process driven. Like another thing that people will do is they'll focus on the end goal, like they'll use stage day as the end goal, and then that's when they kind of can fall off the bandwagon in the reverse diet because they're like, okay, well, what am I doing now? There's no goal anymore. The goalpost has shifted. Like, I see the stage as a stepping stone in my journey. And I feel like that's so important. And Hattie Boydell actually explained this really well on her podcast on Spotify. It actually really helped me with my reverse diet mindset as well. Just being process driven and not focusing on the stage day as the end goal. And I feel like the fact that I am so process driven, that's how I'm able to kind of look past the fact of other people being enhanced and all that kind of stuff. Like, it really is, I know everyone says this and it sounds cheesy, it really is you versus you. Like, I know everyone throws that around all the time, but it really is you versus you. And if you actually just focus on yourself and your own personal journey to get to stage, I feel like you're going to enjoy the process a lot more than looking at another competitor and going, oh, she's got big biceps and she's competing in my category, I need to build biceps. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't mind that I'm competing in a non-tested federation. It doesn't really bother me. I don't know. Like, I don't feel threatened or anything. Like, I'm happy to be in my own zone, in my own process. And yeah, it's just not really on my radar, hey, to be enhanced. Like, I just rather stay natural. There's no judgment. Everyone's different.
Yeah, I think it's a cool motivator to see kind of what you can achieve, because someone was asking me the other day about my legs and like asking what sport I do and things like that, and they just said like, oh, you must eat chicken, broccoli, rice every day. And I was like, oh, I actually don't eat meat. And they're like, oh my God. And then I told them how people often, my old gym actually thought that I was enhanced, and they sat me down. This was maybe a year ago, and I didn't know anything about it, about like the different steroids or anything or different names. And they're like,
I wouldn't
are
have
you
a clue
sure?
either.
They're like, are you sure you're not taking anything? Because like apparently one of the PTs said that I'm definitely on stuff because of the way my abs look, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, creatine? And then they just started laughing because I had no
Yeah,
idea.
literally.
And the
Yeah.
person said that because I'm plant-based and natural, I'm taking like the extra hard route. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of fun because I can just show like there's other ways of doing things. So I just use it as a motivator as well.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like saying before, like, it's super cool seeing someone that's fully plant-based and like, it's yeah, another like cool motivator, and you're like a role
Mm,
model for other people that are also vegans, like in the
mm,
bodybuilding industry as well, and people like
yeah.
lifestyle as well, that you can still achieve a healthy lifestyle and a really good like physique eating vegan food. Like, it's
Mm.
it's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you find that coming out of WBFF now, did you have any post comp blues that you didn't expect?
Yeah, 100%. I came out of my prep with really good intentions. I was like, right, I've got the role model mindset. You might have seen on my story, I was talking about the role model mindset coming out of prep. Like, it's super easy to let yourself down, but it's harder to let others down. And that was my mindset of, if I go and binge eat and if I go and like, blow out, what they call it, right? What is that showing other people that follow me? That it's okay to do that, to have disordered eating. It's okay to do that. And I didn't want to be that person. So I had a lot of, I guess, subconscious like pressure on myself as well, as, I know that I am like a role model to a lot of people. And I had that pressure. But then I also realized that my post comp goal wasn't strong enough. Like, I was like, FMG 2025, that's my drive, like, sick, I'm good to go. But that wasn't strong enough at all. Like, I needed
Mm,
a goal that was actually closer, because that's so far away. So in the back of your mind, you're not realizing it, but the back of your mind, you're like, oh, I've got so much time. So of course I can eat that extra cookie. And then you wake up the next day and the danger zone is like, well, that extra cookie didn't do anything, so I'm going to have another cookie. And, in saying that, it's okay to be human. And of course, like, it's okay to snack within reason and all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying that you can't do that, but I was definitely like overdoing it and over consuming, like, and just mindlessly eating. Like, I wasn't like actually sitting, like, I wasn't preparing my day to then like fit in those things. It's hard, like, thinking back. I was very hard on myself. I wasn't even that bad with my food. I just didn't feel good about it because I didn't feel in control, and I wasn't like preparing for those extra things that I was eating. So then I had food guilt, and then it was like a cycle. And at work, I was feeling quite bored during those like couple weeks. So then like I was filling that space with like an old comfort that I couldn't get in prep, which is food. Like I'm a massive
Mm.
foodie. Like I love my food, and I kind of fell back in that kind of mindset. And after kind of evaluating my goals and stuff, I realized that I needed something that was like closer. So I spoke to one of my good mates, and we're doing like a photo shoot for her PT business. And I'm actually studying my Cert 3 and 4 in fitness now. So I'm going to use that photo shoot as my like portfolio for my business when I eventually launch it. So that's like a cool little motivator for me to, not eat like an idiot. And also, like, I don't want to undo all the hard work that I've worked for the past, 2 years. I don't want to do that. And I also value my health. And again, like I said, like I want to be a role model for others. And I don't want to put myself in a position where I can't compete when I want to, because obviously there'll be more body fat that I'll have to lose and all that kind of stuff. So, and it didn't make me feel good that I was going off plan. I always feel really good when I'm on track and still living my life and still being human and being more social and more flexible, but still allowing myself flexibility.
So do you think, will you kind of transition into fitness as your career in the near future then, or you're just going to trial out doing it on the side or something?
Yeah, so my end goal and my ultimate goal is to have my business in fitness, so
Yeah.
personal training online eventually, and going casual as a nurse. Yeah, I definitely like want to be my own boss. I love traveling, so the idea of me being able to do something I'm passionate about, and then also do something I love on the side, like go to Bali or something, and then still be able to work. That's like the dream lifestyle for me. I don't particularly like being tied down to a location, like I
Mm.
am right now with my job. Like I can't, like I work full time at a set location. I can't just up and go somewhere and still work. Like there is travel nursing opportunities as well that I could do, and I did look into it. But I feel like my passion is definitely in fitness. I've kind of realized that nursing is actually an old identity of mine, sadly. I definitely love helping people, and I knew that I got that right when I started my career. But I do believe that it isn't meant to be in nursing that I'm helping people. I feel like it's meant to be
Yeah.
in fitness and being a role model that way.
Yeah. I feel like I notice a lot in the bodybuilding industry. I feel like half bodybuilders all come from nursing backgrounds more than any other
Yeah,
career, I notice. Yeah.
yeah. And I spoke about that in like my first podcast episode when I
Mm.
released that back. I think that was like 2 months ago now. And I
Yeah.
spoke about how like we all have the same theme of wanting control, and because we don't really have that in nursing, like because you kind of rock up on a day and you don't really know, especially
Oh,
when you're
yeah.
like a ward nurse, you don't really know what's going to happen. Like you
Yeah.
get these patients and you don't know if they're going to crash, or if, you know, you don't know what type of patients you're going to get really, and
Yeah.
anything can happen. Whereas when you come home to outside of work, if you're, bodybuilding and a nurse, you've got that control, and like you have like a drive to be healthy yourself, because you've seen other patients being so unwell and sick and all that kind of
Mm.
stuff. It kind of gives you like a drive to better yourself again. And yeah, like be like I guess also like a role model to your patients. Like, you're
Mm.
like you're fit and healthy, and then you can be like a motivator for them to come out of their like unhealthy shells and stuff like that too. We all have a very similar theme of wanting control in the healthcare
Mm.
industry, and but bodybuilding like overlaps is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome. That's everything for today. Did you have anything else to add? And do you want to let us know where we can find you as well?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. So Chloe, so CHLOE _Millet, MILLETTX. That's where I mainly post a lot of my stuff. Yeah, I'm not really on TikTok or anything like that too much. I tried to get into it, but I'm more of an Instagram person.
Takes a while to learn. Yeah.
Yeah, and also I launched my
Yeah.
podcast, the Confidence and Movement podcast, and that's on Spotify as well.
Cool. Sounds awesome. Thank you so much for coming on.